Barry, you and I have known each other for a long time. We do this show respectfully, but I'm becoming a little concerned about what I think is your increasing Trump derangement syndrome. I think you're getting a little more and more sucked into the cult. And I say that because, you know, even all the news anchors on Fox admit that the election wasn't stolen, but you still won't deny that the election was stolen. Everyone from Mitch McConnell to Kevin McCarthy to Lindsey Graham to all of us who saw it with our own eyes believes Trump was largely responsible for the insurrection on January 6th. You say he wasn't. And then you say that he's been treated unfairly, which to me is the richest of the rich. My reaction for that is, well, excuse my face for getting in the way of your fist. I mean, this is a guy who's gotten the biggest pass from the legal system than anyone in history. He's gotten more free media than anyone in history. So the bottom line is that we also need the adults and people like you who are smart and reasonable to help the party move past Trump. So what I think you need is a Trump exorcism. And as your supporter and confidant, I'll be with you every step of the way. What do you think?
Well, Dave, you've said yourself you're not a religious person, so I don't think you believe in exorcism. So I just don't think that's
I mean,
okay.
Well, that's not really an answer, but can you see how one might think that?
Look, I've said before, for this primary, I'm staying neutral. So I don't know why you say you think I'm leaning towards some person or not. I'm going to support whoever comes out of the primary at the end of the day. Maybe it's Ron DeSantis. Maybe it's Tim Scott. Maybe it is Donald Trump. I don't know. I think from my perspective, I'm more interested in the ideas and the policy than the personality. And it is true that Trump was treated like the whole Russiagate, the fact that we spent tens of millions of dollars on the Mueller report, which ended up exonerating the president. It was all based on hearsay and lies and things that were totally unproven. So, and even Mueller himself didn't even understand the report. It showed how little he understood and grasped what happened with Fusion GPS and all the corruption. So I stand by that statement that Trump has been treated unfairly, but I think also that I agree, like 2022 should have been a wake-up call in terms of the Republicans. They should have easily won the Senate. And I think that talking about the 2020 election is just a nothing, like it's a way to turn off people from the middle. So we agree on that. I think going forward, Trump's probably going to be focused more on this indictment than on 2020. But I think from my perspective, I want the candidates to be talking about ideas and policies. Like I think President Trump should have some courage when it comes to Social Security. There was a really great op-ed in the Wall Street Journal this week talking about how the headline was the Biden-Trump Social Security cuts, because both of those people say they don't want to touch Social Security. Well, guess what? In 11 years, when the trust fund runs out, there's going to be a 23% cut in benefits. So, and that's in the law. So their cowardice in terms of not structuring things and making changes, because it's going to be an across-the-board cut versus making substantive reforms. I'd rather be talking about that than talking about Trump's personality or any of this stuff or the 2020 election.
Well, I agree. First of all, Bill Barr smothered the Mueller report. And secondly, there is no question that the Trump campaign tried to engage with Russia. Russia tried to meddle, but as I've said, it wasn't enough to sway the election. He won the election, or rather, Hillary lost the election fair and square. But, you also talk about you want to focus on ideas. Well, the Republican Party doesn't have any ideas. I mean, Kevin McCarthy, that's the problem. It's all grievance. It's all fomenting anger. Kevin McCarthy, the smartest thing Biden did was he said, I will negotiate and talk to you about the debt ceiling when you come up with spending cuts. And he won't, because they can't. The math isn't there. And so that's really the issue, is that the party is bereft of ideas. Now, being fair and balanced, that's a catchy slogan. Maybe I should trademark that one. But being fair and balanced, I agree. Both Biden and Trump are dropping the ball on entitlements. And while it was a political win for the president to bring it up at the State of the Union, it's a big loser for the country because the math is not there. The trust fund is going to run out of money. And again, sooner or later, the cuts are going to be voluntary or they're going to be mandatory. So I really do believe that something needs to be done. And there are some courageous senators like Bill Cassidy who have come out and said, look, this is not a matter of choice. We have to act on this. And that's one of the reasons Trump got elected, because he was the first Republican that said, I'm not going to touch entitlements. You know, he wasn't the Paul Ryan type who said, oh, well, we have to go down and cut this and cut that, even though that was one of the few things that Paul Ryan said that I agreed with in terms of his fiscal policy. So I agree. We're really stuck on these entitlements, and both the former president and the current president have dug the hole deeper. But this problem could be solved, as well as the GOP's woes, if the party had any ideas. We've talked about this before. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about the despacho police. You know, the Republican Party used to be the party of ideas and intellect. You know, and now she's the apotheosis of the dumbing down of the party, which started with Sarah Palin and has come to its fruition. And these people are not rational people. Say what you want about the Dems, but under Nancy Pelosi, they realized that you had to pass certain bills. But I don't see Matt Gaetz or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Paul Gosar or any of these people coming around to prevent us from defaulting on the debt. Well, I'll give you the last word.
Well, Jody Arrington, who's running the budget with McCarthy, both of them have actually come up with a substantive list of cuts that they are proposing. So that's actually, they have, yeah. And then also savings. So for example, recouping a lot of the unspent COVID funds. And even that's controversial for the Democrats. They've proposed cuts in the non-discretionary and non-defense discretionary spending. They've outlined some specific cuts. Politico had the detail. It was like a shopping list of all the things that they have proposed. So, but it's Biden is the one who's refusing to come and talk to them. He's the one who's being intransigent about it. So I think, yeah, I agree. Both sides need to come to the table, but the Republicans have put forward ideas on that. And they have lots of ideas. They have ideas on school choice. They have ideas on reducing crime. They have ideas on, fiscal cuts and also restructuring welfare so that it is a system that lifts you up instead of entraps you. I was just at American Enterprise Institute last night. They had a great documentary it was called Gotham, about the rise of Manhattan under Rudy Giuliani and then Mayor Bloomberg after that, who was a Republican and then became independent. But it was 2 Republican terms, one after the other, which had never been seen. And that was the highlight in the 20th century and early 21st century of New York, is under these Republican ideas that were percolated, broken windows policing. And yeah, did they go too far sometimes with stop and frisk? Yes, they did. But overall, quality of life improved, economic vibrancy, it all happened under Republican ideas. So I think we're gonna have to disagree on that. But yeah, that's what this show's about.
Well, I would just say one thing to wrap us up, and that is Biden has said as soon as he gets a list of proposed spending cuts, he will meet with McCarthy. He's been saying that for months. And actually, crime hit its low under Bill de Blasio, who I agree was a terrible mayor. And finally, the fact that you call Michael Bloomberg a Republican, I find is quite entertaining, because I don't think there's anyone else in the party these days that would join you in that. But as always, a very, very lively and, most importantly, respectful debate. We have so much to talk about. And just real quickly, maybe you could tell our viewers about the special setup we have with a guest for our next podcast.
Yeah, no, so we're excited for those of you who have been listening regularly. You listen to Dave and I coming from both on the Republican side, but different lanes in the Republican conservative movement. Well, we're bringing in another voice. Her name is Masada Siegel. She is progressive, but she's a reasonable progressive. So she's one of those ones that we need more of. And I think it's going to be lively. She's a journalist. She's traveled all over the world from Israel. She brings a very interesting Jewish perspective. So I think we're going to have, as Dave always points out, civil exchange, but it's going to be lively, and she's going to bring some great ideas.
Excellent. Well, that show is scheduled for Thursday, April 20th. So we look forward to having you all there. I'm Dave Spencer. Thanks for joining us.
We'll catch you next time.